Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 6. Our topics this week are first, part 1, introducing creating your reflective portfolio GPS grad portfolio story with the focus on collect part 1. And the part 1 focuses on what artifacts and evidence will you be collecting for your portfolio. And then part 2 is exploring formats for the GPS grad portfolio story from paper to digital. Okay, let's go into the module and take a look. This week, we're going to be looking at the module. Then we're going to be looking at discussion 4, which is creating your public portfolio grad portfolio story, exploring the formats for the GPS grad portfolio story. And then assignment 2 is also due this week, creating your reflective portfolio, phase 2, assess. And the assess part is the next step from after you've done your excellent assignment 1 on your learning stories and creating elevated speech and digital professional presence. We now have assess. Assess we'll take a look at. I have a video with the instructions, but assess looks at your significant learning events and why they're significant and what are your career plans. Okay, let's look at the module for this week. The module for this week, as I said, part 1, introducing creating a reflective portfolio, grad portfolio story, focus on phase 3, collect part 1. And once again, as I added, that is looking at what evidence do you want to collect? Are you going to write a narrative, have videos, artifacts, coursework, whatever is the evidence that you'll be looking at. And then part 2 is exploring the formats for the GPS grad portfolio story from paper to digital. Remember, the mission design and format is up to you. Introduction. Developing your reflective GPS grad portfolio story focus on phase 3 collect part 1 is an empowering way for you to support your learning, integrate your learning, and preparing you to share your learning story. This module introduces the process of collecting artifacts and evidence of your learning. The collection of evidence and artifacts can also be used during your career search process to support your learning story during interviewing and networking. You will explore formats for your GPS grad portfolio story, best of show portfolio. Objectives. The objectives this week are related to the course objectives 1, 2, and 5, which you will find on your syllabus. After you complete the task for week 6, you'll be able to identify artifacts and evidence to support your learning story. Apply artifacts and evidence to support your learning story in your resume and portfolio. Describe the process of creating your public portfolio. Discuss developing the mission design and format for the public portfolio. And examine sample portfolios for developing your public portfolio. And discuss the format choices for the public portfolio. Here are the module activities for this week. They should take you about an hour and 25 minutes. I've included 4 of our ebooks. The first one is, again, take a look at the grad portfolio story process. And we'll be looking at, as I said, review the following resources for the course on creating your reflective portfolio with the focus on collecting and archiving your learning and exploring formats for your portfolio. So this first ebook talks again about the process of the GPS grad portfolio story, but you're going to be looking at the reflective process phase 3 collect. Then you're going to be looking at creating your reflective portfolio. Again, focus on the reflective portfolio, phase 3, collect. And again, you've looked at these in the discussions, but you'll also, once again, go back and look at it for collecting your artifacts and evidence. And then we're going to look at the GPS grad portfolio format from paper to digital formats. Also, I'd like you to look at some of the guest networker seminars on creating your portfolio, and here are some seminars created for our class. This first that I'd like you to actually focus on for assignment 3 that's coming up is to look at one of our guest networkers, Joellen Freeman, who's our curator and outreach specialist and also archivist at KSU, and she's put together the LPS. She liked our GPS, but she put from GPS grad portfolio story to LPS life portfolio story, archiving your complete story seminar with Joellen Freeman. And this is an excellent, excellent guest networker presentation. She's even drawn a model of how you would archive your learning for your life portfolio story. Also, I would like you to look at another guest networker, for exploring GPS grad portfolio story formats. And this is one done by Lindsay Nyman. She was a former grad admissions counselor here at Kennesaw and the former grad student facilitator in the INTS class with me in fall 2015. She used Weebly. She had to create a portfolio in graduate school, and she used Weebly. So she put together a Weebly.com presentation for us to see if you like that as well. And as you're looking at formats, don't forget that we have all sorts of varieties in our ebook and also in the Grad Portfolio Story Forum discussion section, uh, which I have posted some information for you, put together by Rose Warner, who's our KSU UITS trainer, on using Wix.com. Wix.com is not supported by KSU, but it's a great website also to use as well for portfolios. And she has put together a sheet to help you put your website together if you'd like to use that. So that's by Rose Warner. Okay, what's coming up this week? This week we have a due discussion for creating your public GPS grad portfolio story and exploring formats for the GPS grad portfolio story due on Thursday at 11 p.m. And then we have assignment 2, creating your reflective portfolio, phase 2, assess. That is talking about your significant learning events, why they're significant, and also, um, what your plans are after college. Now, you've written very wonderful and inspiring learning stories. So from your learning story, if you could pick one or two significant events that you would like to talk about that are significant learning events for you, and they are your personal choice. And those are things that you might want to really highlight in your portfolio. Like for my case, choosing my major of communication after having several other majors as an undergrad in college and coming to that realization that communication was a great fit for me. But that's just about me, but that's just a sample of what is a significant learning event. Okay. Um, in your case, it could be choosing what brought you to becoming an integrative studies major. And a lot of you wrote about that as well in your introductions, your elevator speeches, and your first discussion. So you might want to talk about that as your significant learning event and highlight that as well. Okay. What will be coming up? Oh, and remember, if you need an extension, let me know. And just by email on D2L is the preferable way to do that. And you'll have an extension. Okay, we'd also review the upcoming graded coursework for next week. Discussion 5 takes us to the career search process from resume to GPS grad portfolio story. And in that, you will be looking at a lot of the information provided by our guest networkers on that topic. Okay, our module summary. After completing this module, you'll be able to define the process of creating your GPS grad portfolio story with the focus on creating your reflective portfolio phase 3 collect. You will have reviewed the formats for the GPS grad portfolio story, and you will have reviewed related guest networker seminars on archiving your learning for your reflective portfolio and GPS grad portfolio formats. Module checklist. Continue to read the GPS grad portfolio story process, the creating your reflective portfolio, and the guest networker live binders. Also, remember discussion 4 and assignment 2 are due this week on Thursday at 11, and then review the upcoming discussion 5, which is due next week. What's next? Continue creating a reflective portfolio phase 3 collect, and then part 1 and career search process from resume to GPS grad portfolio story. Let's look at the discussion. The discussion due this week is on creating your public GPS grad portfolio story, exploring formats and grad portfolio story. And once again, I provided the 3 ebooks that you will review. And remember, when we're reviewing these, we're looking for the resources that are interesting for you to look at: creating and sharing your public portfolio, graduate portfolio formats, and then some sample portfolios from our integrative studies majors that have generously given me permission to showcase their portfolios by format. Okay, and let's look at this assignment. When you open assignment 2, as I have in every assignment, I have a video with the instructions. For this one, once you review the instructions, just use the attached worksheet for the assignment and answer 3 questions. What are your significant learning experiences? Why are they your significant learning experiences? And what are your plans for life after college? And remember, you've already written detailed overview, very inspiring of your learning stories in elevator speech and digital professional presence. But pick what is significant for you and talk about, what are the significant experiences and why are they significant and what are your plans for life after college? Well, one day closer to graduation. Thank you for your wonderful and inspiring coursework. And remember, if you need an extension, just let me know via D2L email. And have a great learning week, one day closer to graduation. Dr. Joni.